The morning sun spilled golden light across the quiet suburban street, painting the lawns in hues of warmth and promise. It was the kind of Saturday that felt like a gift: crisp air, blooming jasmine, and the faint sizzle of a neighbor's grill already teasing the breeze. In the Harper family's modest two-story home, the kitchen still smelled of pancakes and coffee. Jack Harper, a former Marine with a weathered calm in his eyes, stood on the porch, sipping from a chipped mug. His wife, Emily, lounged in a wicker chair, her nose buried in a novel, while their 8-year-old son, Ethan, knelt on the driveway, chalk in hand, sketching a VY brand dragon across the concrete. Its scales shimmered in reds and blues, a testament to the boy's boundless imagination. For Jack, watching Ethan's small hands create something so VYVYD stirred a quiet pride, a reminder of the childhood he'd once known, long before the chaos of war. The neighborhood hummed with Serenity kids laughing, a lawnmower droning in the distance. Nothing could shatter this moment. Or so Jack thought. The low growl of an engine sliced through the calm, and his gaze snapped to the street. A black SUV with tinted windows rolled to a stop in front of their house, its presence jarring against the pastel backdrop of the cul-de-sac. 2 men stepped out, their black vests emblazoned with the words, HOA Enforcement, in stark white letters. They were big, mid-40s, with the kind of swagger that screamed trouble. Jack's stomach tightened. He hadn't signed up for any HOA nonsense when they bought this place, just basic rules about trash cans and fences. These guys didn't look like they were here to talk about overgrown hedges. "Hey!" the taller man barked, his voice like gravel. "You're violating HOA rules." He pointed at Ethan, who froze, chalk clutched tightly in his fist. The dragon's tail was half finished, curling across the sidewalk. Jack's brows knitted together. "What are you talking about?" he asked, stepping forward, his tone measured but edged with steel. The second man, shorter but just as imposing, jabbed a finger at the drawing. "That's against regulations. No markings on public property. You're looking at a fine." Ethan stood, his small frame rigid, eyes darting between the men and his father. "I'm just drawing," he said, voice trembling but defiant. The taller man smirked, taking a step toward the boy. "Doesn't matter. Rules are rules." Then, in a move that sent ice through Jack's veins, the man grabbed Ethan's arm, yanking him forward. "You're coming with us. Do law 500 fine, or we take you in for noncompliance." Emily's book hit the ground with a thud. She was on her feet in an instant, her face drained of color. "Let him go!" she shouted, her voice cracking with panic as she rushed toward her son. The man didn't flinch, his grip tightening until Ethan whimpered, struggling to pull free. "Stop it! He's just a kid!" Emily pleaded, reaching for Ethan, but the second man blocked her path, his bulk a wall of intimidation. "This is what happens when you break the rules," he sneered, as if manhandling a child was just another day's work. Jack's heart pounded, a drumbeat of rage and instinct. Every fiber of his being screamed to act, but for a split second, doubt held him back. The HOA? Could they really do this? Were these men even legit? His training kicked in, drowning out the noise. He'd faced worse than a couple of bullies, investmen with guns, men with bombs. These two didn't know who they were dealing with. "You have no right to touch my son," Jack said, his voice low, each word a blade. He stepped closer, fists clenched, his presence radiating a quiet menace that made the air feel heavy wire. The taller man scoffed, sizing Jack up. "You're not in charge here, pal. The HOA runs this place." He reached for Ethan again, a mistake that snapped the last thread of Jack's restraint. In a flash, Jack's hand shot out, seizing the man's wrist and twisting it with surgical precision. The man gasped, releasing Ethan as Jack drove his shoulder into his chest, sending him sprawling onto the driveway with a heavy thud. The second man lunged, but Jack was faster, his fist connecting with the man's jaw in a sickening crack. The guy crumpled, dazed, blood trickling from his lip. "Get out!" Jack growled, standing over them, his eyes burning with a fury that dared them to move. Ethan ran to his father, burying his face in Jack's side, while Emily wrapped her arms around them both, her breath shaky with relief. The men groaned, their bravado shattered, sprawled like broken toys on the concrete. Neighbors peeked from windows, drawn by the commotion, their whispers a soft buzz in the background. Jack's pulse still raced, but his focus was razor-sharp. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The taller man, clutching his side, staggered to his feet, his face twisted with humiliated rage. "You don't know who you're messing with," he spat, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and defiance. "You'll regret this." Jack didn't blink. "I know exactly what I've done," he said, stepping forward, his voice colder than steel. "And if you don't leave now, you'll be explaining yourself to the cops." The second man, wiping blood from his mouth, shot a panicked glance at his partner. "You're done, man," he muttered, stumbling upright. "We're not finished with you." But their threats felt hollow, their confidence unraveling under Jack's unyielding stare. Emily, her fear giving way to anger, stepped forward. "Who are you really?" she demanded, her voice sharp. "What do you want with my son?" The taller man fumbled in his vest, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper, maybe a fake badge, maybe nothing at all. Jack's voice cut through like a whip. "Stop. You're done here. Leave, or I'll make sure the police know every detail of this." The man froze, the paper slipping from his fingers. The distant wail of sirens broke the tension, growing louder, closer. Relief flooded Emily's face as red and blue lights flashed at the end of the street. The men exchanged a look of pure panic, their scheme crumbling in real time. Two officers stepped out of the cruiser, their eyes scanning the scene. Jack standing tall, Ethan clinging to him, the two men battered and cornered. "What's going on here?" the lead officer, a woman with a no-nonsense gaze, asked sharply. The taller man raised his hands, trying to salvage control. "We're HOA enforcement," he stammered, but the blood on his partner's face told a different story. Jack stepped forward, his voice steady. "These men tried to take my son over a chalk drawing. They're not HOA. They're imposters." The officer's eyes narrowed. "You got ID? Proof of authority?" The men hesitated, their silence damning. "No badges, no papers, just lies." "You're under arrest," the officer said, nodding to her partner. Handcuffs clicked, and the men's faces fell, their false power stripped away. As the police led them to the cruiser, Jack turned to Emily, his expression softening. "It's over," he whispered, but the words felt incomplete. This wasn't just about two thugs. Something bigger was at play, and Jack could feel it in his bones. The neighborhood buzzed with gossip as neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones out, recording the aftermath. Jack's phone vibrated a text from his old Marine buddy Mike. Heard you took down some fake cops. What the hell's going on? Jack typed back quickly. Tried to grab Ethan. Not over yet. I'll call you. The lead officer approached, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Harper, these guys aren't registered with any HOA. We're charging them with impersonation and attempted abduction. Any idea who they are?" Jack shook his head, but his mind was racing. They acted like they'd done this before. Like they knew they could get away with it. The officer nodded, jotting a note. "We'll dig into it. If you hear anything, call us." As the cruiser pulled away, Jack felt the weight of Ethan's gaze. The boy's voice was small, fragile. "Dad, are they bad guys?" Jack knelt, his hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Yeah, buddy. But they're gone now. You're safe." But even as he said it, doubt gnawed at him. Safe for how long? That night, the Harpers sat in their Levy-wying room, the TV off, the silence heavy. Ethan slept on the couch, clutching his dragon drawing, its colors stark against the paper. Emily's eyes met Jack's, her voice soft but resolute. "What's next?" Jack leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "I'm going to find out who sent them. This isn't just about us. They've probably done this to others." Emily nodded, her hand finding his. "We'll do it together." Jack's resolve hardened. Those men weren't rogue operators, they were part of something organized, something that preyed on families, hiding behind fake authority. The next morning, he called the police station, learning the men were from out of state, with no clear ties to the neighborhood. A neighbor, Sarah, texted him, heard one of those guys has a rap sheet. Why were they even here? Saw the pieces didn't add up, and Jack's instincts screamed conspiracy. Weeks later, the neighborhood erected a small memorial, a framed copy of Ethan's dragon drawing, set in the sidewalk where it all began. It wasn't just art anymore. It was a symbol of defiance, a reminder that true power lay not in false systems, but in those brave enough to fight back. Jack knew the battle wasn't over. He'd uncovered whispers of similar incidents in nearby towns, families intimidated by HOA enforcers, who vanished when challenged. Someone was pulling strings, and Jack Harper wasn't the type to let go. For Ethan, for Emily, for every family in that quiet suburb, he'd tear the truth wide open no matter how deep the shadows ran.